Good evening. Call to order the Town of Hollis Planning Board meeting for July 24th, 2024. We'll start this meeting with a roll call from my right to the left.
Nick?
Tom Wachowski.
Heather Sullivan.
Seth Davis.
And Greg McPherson. We have a few minutes to go over. Looks like we're going back from May 22nd, June 12th, and June 26th.
Motion to approve minutes of planning board meeting May 22nd, 2024.
Any comments?
No.
Hearing none.
Need a second.
I got you.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Nick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Meeting minutes of May 22nd, 2024 approved.
I wasn't here, so I can't mention it.
Looking somebody for June 12th.
I wasn't here, so I can't mention it.
Motion to approve the minutes for June 12th.
Second.
Any comments?
No.
Hearing none. Nick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Heather?
Abstain.
Seth?
Yes.
Yes. And we have the meeting minutes of June 26th, 2024.
Motion to approve meeting minutes June 26, 2024.
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none. Nick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Nick, I just noted that you were absent at that meeting.
Yeah. Abstain.
So- Perfect. Tom?
Yes.
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 Yes. Meeting minutes of June 26th are approved. We have no correspondence or reports, so we'll jump into old business. Tonight we have Evelyn's Way, a 3-lot subdivision. Steve Blake's here tonight to go over the project with us. Good evening, Steve.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Steve Blake with BH2M. Thanks for the introduction. We are representing the applicant ELW Properties. This is a 3-lot subdivision located on Deerwander Road. As part of the project, we're also designing and permitting a private road, which is approximately 550 feet long. So it's a private road with a 3-lot subdivision. This is in the rural 2-acre zone. So each one of these lots is at least 80,000 square feet, a little bit larger than that. We received some comments yesterday from the code office, and then we received comments today from Civil Consultants, the engineering peer review consultant, as well as the fire chief. So we haven't had a ton of time to review those comments yet, but certainly, I think most of them we can address. I think maybe the big outlier is the stormwater comment that we got from Civil Consultants. Our interpretation of the requirements for a minor subdivision, I think, is maybe different from what their interpretation is, but we do have a solution to address their concerns with, right now, currently for stormwater, we have a level spreader. We can change that to more of a pond structure that will provide some detention to limit those peak flows that Jay had mentioned. So, and I know from the code office, we had a couple comments about location of a transformer pad, which is fine. We can get that onto a plan. And he was also interested in just making sure that we had driveway culverts specified. One thing we typically do is not necessarily show specific driveway locations on our roadway plans, just knowing that house footprints might change a little bit. So just to leave a little bit of variability, but typically we can handle that with a note that just says, provide a 15-inch driveway culvert that's so long and has so much cover, which is kind of how we typically do that. And then for the fire chief, what he was interested in is us just, I think he wanted something in writing that said that we acknowledge that each house would need sprinklers, which is also fine. We can put a note to that effect on the plan as well. So we have a few comments to address. There was one comment, and I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about this now, but I think from civil consultants, they were asking about whether or not a portion of this was in the shoreland zone due to the presence of some natural resources, some wetlands on one of the lots. And that is something that I do not know the answer to. So we probably have to do a little bit more research to understand what that comment means.
Well, you're in luck. We have an expert on that.
Yeah.
Great. So, Angela, remind me, we found this application complete at this point, or no? We did.
Well, you found the sketch plan complete, now that you're in front of you, final. They can
Yep.
skip preliminary.
Okay.
We can't do final because we don't have.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have a
but
few.
but we could schedule a site walk and.
Yes, I guess we want to talk about the plan and civil, their recommendations or comments, I should say, or questions.
I feel like that you addressed. It looks like we need to see HOA docs.
Yeah, and I think what we'll probably do, and I think will be okay, is put together a road maintenance agreement. I mean, I think that's really the need there, is to have something like that addresses the maintenance of the road and also any ancillary stormwater features.
Yep.
So that's in process.
And then the cost estimate,
Yep,
For the
which
road
we can
construction.
do that fairly simply as well.
and then the other things that you mentioned, I think that kind of, even though this is a lot of a report, I think you
It breaks it-
indicated that you're gonna address a lot of the items that are specific. I don't think we have to, well, maybe you do, but I don't feel like we have to go item by item. If you're going to make changes, we'll look at it when you make the changes.
Yeah, I think. Seth, you had a concern.
Right, my concern was on lots 2 and 3. Where would the driveways be?
Yeah, so this was something that we discussed, I can't remember to what level of detail, but we discussed this at the sketch plan level, I think with the board, but also with the fire chief. So we have, and what we did was we extended the length of the hammerhead specifically to avoid having driveways come off the ends of the hammerhead. And we have a detail, I don't know if you have the whole plan set, but we do have a detail on the sheet 4.
Okay.
There's a hammerhead turnaround detail, and we've used this in other communities. And it basically, what it does is it lengthens out the end of the hammerhead, and restricts driveway access to kind of like only from the sides, I guess for lack of a better term, off the end of that hammerhead.
And that's where you say lot access.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think the original concern was maybe some other projects where there was maybe some confusion about that hammerhead area actually being someone's driveway or being a lot owner's property. And this along with setting clear monumentation out there is how we've dealt with this in the
Okay.
past in other communities.
It might be helpful to have the same notions of no lot access on the
Sure.
on the other side as well, because that's really where the problem's been. I know
Yeah.
discussions with the road commissioner and the fire chief. That's where the problem's been, is on the actual turnaround side.
Yep. Yeah, and we can make this a little bit more clear. I see the concern. We have a note referring to that. So on sheet 2, we have a note referring to the detail on sheet 4, but maybe we can just show that on the
So-
planning profile.
It's like on the northerly view, it has no lot access on the last 25 feet on sheet 4.
Yep.
If we could take this, just copy paste onto the easterly view.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, the intent of that detail is to restrict access on that easterly side completely.
Yeah, that was my thought. Yeah.
Gotcha, okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Understood.
not that we need to move this detail or anything, just to add the no lot access. So,
Okay. Yep.
because that's the problem. The homeowner comes in and they want to put it on the end because it makes the most sense in their eyes, and
Sure.
it'd be great to have it there. But then when the ambulance wants to come turn around, it's an issue.
You just want to type there.
So if you see no lot access from here,
Mhm.
copy that, put it over here.
Got it. Got it.
It's, I don't know if you can see it. There is a note. It's kind of on the inside where it
Yeah.
says no, on the inside of that, where it's hatched gray. It says no lot access.
Oh, okay. Yep, I see what you're saying now.
But we can certainly make that more clear if it's,
No, that's no. You are correct. That's good. That's good by me.
okay.
Just missed that in the 10-second look. A lot of these, I read through this pretty in depth this afternoon, and a lot of things were pretty obvious, easy fixes. Like, you know, he called out check dams, and there already were some check dams.
Yeah.
The depth of the drainage, your detail showed 24-inch check dam depth, so I kind of refer to me at the ditch depth was 24 inches. The level spreader, I did see where it does kind of veer off into the westerly portion of the drainage easement, so.
Yeah, and that's something that we're planning to change, so we likely won't even have that level spreader anymore. It'll be a pond, and that should take care of that.
Perfect.
That particular comment.
If you do add a pond, just please add some maintenance requirements in the
Yep.
road maintenance docs.
Yep.
If it's just a, retention swale, it probably doesn't need any, just
Sure.
just mowing, but.
Yeah. We have a standard inspection and maintenance manual that we use, and a pond and a swale, or those are typical items that end up in there. So a lot of times, what we'll do is with the road maintenance agreement, we'll reference that document
Yeah.
for the maintenance requirements.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then the erosion control, did you have a note on here that just said to follow Maine State best practices, or that was one comment I saw.
Yeah, so we have a lot of notes on sheet 3. Those are our standard notes for basically like chapter 500 erosion control procedures.
Yeah.
And they're, I think they did have a couple of good comments too, just on some specifics on the ditch, just given the steepness of the road. So we'll take a closer look at that item in particular and make sure it's reinforced appropriately.
Perfect. Any other?
Just so I don't forget, we did have a waiver request too on the entrance slope of the road, which is something that we had discussed with the road commissioner. And there's
You're gonna pave an extended portion though, correct?
we are, yeah. We're gonna pave the first 50 feet and steepen the road from 2% up to 5%. And that the reason for that is we looked at this with a 2% centerline slope as a first pass at the design, and we ended up with about an 8-foot fill. So that's what we're trying to avoid, and I don't, in my mind, 5% is not an unreasonable slope to start at, particularly since we'll be paving it too.
Can we get road commissioner opinion?
Angela, did he sign off on that? Perfect. I thought he did, but
Yeah.
I meant to make that email. Yes, you did.
Yep.
I was in the middle of that.
Yep.
thing.
Is that
I'm
it?
good.
Yeah, I didn't see anything, nothing, I mean, the only thing that really pops out in this thing is the driveway location, so, and you covered that on my end, so,
Yeah.
and that's pretty simple. There was some notes about well and septic locations, I was looking for some notes,
Yep.
so.
I make a motion for site walk.
Are we at a point where we can schedule a public hearing as well? Okay. Yeah, okay, great.
That's the next
Yeah,
motion.
yeah, okay.
We typically do those on the same day.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Do a 5 PM or whatever site walk, and then
Yeah.
a meeting will follow at 7.
Okay, cool.
So our next meeting is
7th,
August
14th,
14th.
14th.
You wanna give a time on your motion?
6 p.m. No, 5:30 p.m.
5:30?
Yep.
Yep. Looking for a second?
I'll second that.
5:30 works for everybody?
5:30 is great.
That works, yeah. Are there specific things that you'd want to see staked out on our end?
Is there a center line of road or anything?
Not
up
yet, but that's simple for us to do if you want to see. We can just stake out like every 100 feet of the center line of the road.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
We don't need anything fancy.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Looking for a second.
Yeah. I second
And
it.
so Nick, how do you vote?
We said the 7th, 5:30?
The
14th.
14th,
14th.
5:30.
Yes.
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 Yes, so moved. Looking for another
Motion
motion.
for a public hearing at the planning board meeting, at the next planning board meeting.
Second.
Nick?
Yes.
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 Yes, so moved. So I think that you have quite a few concerns to go over from civil consultants, but I think they're all most of them are pretty simple, so.
Yep, yeah, I think we can address them without
Sounds
too much
good.
trouble. Great.
Awesome.
I think we're done.
Okay, and the waiver, is that something that you would vote on at the public hearing?
Would be the final.
At the okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I,
I always tend to forget about those, so I just wanna make sure that.
I wrote it down.
Okay, perfect. I'll do the same, so, thank you.
Could we, I mean, we probably want to vote on that sooner, so we have an idea.
Do you have all the stuff that's all signed off and everything from everybody? Have you seen this? Angel said it's signed off.
Do we take in, I mean,
I
I have not
Respectfully.
personally seen it, but
Right,
if
I haven't seen
Angela
it.
says it's signed off from the road commissioner,
Yeah, there's an email chain that he agreed to the 50-foot pavement.
with the slope change?
Yes.
We included that with our application. It's
Yeah.
it's attachment 4 in the application.
Yeah, we were just looking for more of the road commissioner going yes. Something we could see.
Yeah, exhibit A. Attachment 5.
There's the email's right in here.
You have the email
Attachment
in there?
4, yeah. Attachment 4.
So we have an email from Rob Hanson. Good morning. I'm not sure if we have the ability to give waivers with our current ordinances. Can the planning board or SMPDC review and advise on this question? If it is possible to give a waiver to the 5% grade 50 feet, I would ask that it be paved so there are less issues with traction getting into the public road.
Then he goes on to say, to get traction, I think 50 foot would be adequate.
Yeah, so. Do we have a motion on,
Motion to grant waiver of the slope requirements in accordance with the statement that they're gonna do a 50-foot paving of the entrance of the road. If the final plan gets approved.
That's good. Second.
Nick, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm moved.
Okay,
Waiver approved.
great. Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's time.
We will see you in 3 weeks.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, everybody's watching online, we will have a public hearing. If anybody has any concerns, questions, please make your voice heard at that time. Next item on our agenda this evening is we have a shoreland zoning map update by Reagan Young from Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission.
Correct.
Nice
Oh,
job.
Just grabbing at words in the last few of them.
So many letters.
Nice, nice, nice.
How's that for you, Scott? How does the map look?
We can adjust if needed. I can get going. Hi, everybody. Thanks for
Hi.
having me.
Hey,
Good to see you again.
you as well.
As you may remember, the last time you saw me, I think, was earlier this year, maybe April, springtime. There's some new faces. The last time you saw me, we had a pretty close to final draft of the map. And there were 2 outstanding items. I still needed DEP's final review and approval, and I wanted to include the most up-to-date FEMA floodplain maps, which were just sort of getting released right around that time. Those are the ones that correspond with the ordinance that you were required to update here in the last month or so, floodplain management ordinance. So that is why I'm before you tonight. I can give a little bit more background if that's helpful, and I definitely can talk in more specifics about what actually changed here in terms of the map, but happy to take your lead.
So I guess it's been a while. Why don't we do a quick rundown?
Yeah, from the top. Yeah, yes, we can do
I
that.
think we have a new member since,
Yes,
since
yes,
it started.
absolutely.
So
So at some point last year, the first sort of phase of this effort was to do a general zoning sort of map reconstruction. So we had a map that was never actually made official, and there were some inaccuracies there on the general zoning map. So that was, I'm not going to go into great detail about that, but that effort happened over the last year, and in doing so, the town had a new official general zoning map, which was adopted at some point last year. That map did not have your shoreline zoning layers on it. The other map that was sort of being used as the main reference that was not official did. So we wanted to pull off those shoreline zoning layers and make a separate map so that you would have 2 nice, clean, new maps, one of your general zoning, one of your shoreline zoning. We thought the effort was just going to be, take the layers off one map, put them on a new clean map. When we started to do that and dig in, we noticed that there were some errors in the way that those layers were created. For those of you who were here, you might have remembered there was like a double buffer. It was buffered twice where it should have been only buffered once, kind of thing. So once we found that, I came to the board. We kind of had a more in-depth discussion about if we are going to change the layers, which was not ever the intention, but there are errors now, so we have to change them. Do we want to go through the effort of updating the source data, which the board agreed to? It's probably the more sensible option. So the map that you see here is a couple additions since then, but the real intent was to mainly update the wetlands data from data that was maybe like 2009 or earlier to what is now sort of the best state-of-the-art, what we have for wetlands inventory data. That's the National Wetlands Inventory. That data, I worked with DEP to make sure that we were querying it right and finding what are freshwater wetlands, what are forested wetlands, what counts as a contiguous 10-acre wetland, right? So I worked pretty closely with them to figure out all of those definitions and get you what you see here, which I can't actually see from where I'm standing. I should have printed off a little one. But oh, look at that. Thank you. So this map has all of the different sort of specific layers that are called, or areas that are called out in your written ordinance, sort of displayed on a map. The couple of things that have changed since you guys saw me, the FEMA floodplain data, we literally changed the layer that was being used. You know, we had the 2018 preliminary data, and we used now the 2024 new data. The actual area of that, I don't think changed very much over that period, but we know we're using, you know, the most accurate adopted layers. That's good. The other piece that DEP called out, and this is sort of a silly thing, he noticed that all of the water bodies that are less than 10 acres, so those that aren't great ponds, were missing from your map. I was so focused on making sure I had your great ponds right that I sort of forgot all the little guys. So all the little guys are on there now. So that's good. And that was DEP's only edit for the map itself. I did send along an email to Angela, which you guys may have seen and already discussed a little bit, where he had some comments on your written ordinance in terms of ways that could be a little bit more clearer. And it's pretty small, but I did forward that along to Angela to make sure that you guys have that and can discuss it as you get to. Yeah, she's like, it's all good, don't worry about it. So that was sort of a separate thing, and it is not, it doesn't affect this at all. Your map is still perfectly accurate and meets the ordinance as it's written, and the ordinance as it would be written. So that's basically the background, I think. Did I miss anything?
Sounds good.
Hornet.
So does that mean that you are complete with this project?
I think so, yeah. As long as you folks don't have any questions or concerns or edits to the map and how it looks and, you know, how it presents, then that's perfectly fine. I did notice while I was sitting here a couple of typos, which I have sort of scribbled on there. I don't know if you can see from there, but those things can be fixed easily. And the only other thing which Angela and I have talked about adding to this map, which wouldn't actually change the layers at all, is a signature box for your final version that goes to vote.
Do we have to vote on it? Same as
We
did.
would need to
I mean,
vote
the town.
to
vote.
yes. We would want to have a public hearing on it and then vote to recommend the select board put it on the warrant.
Can we schedule it with the public hearing in a meeting and a half, 2 meetings, whatever it is?
Do we have? This isn't.
Oh, because it's more time, isn't it?
Does this need the? Does this have a time requirement for the planning of the public hearing?
They all have the same.
2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Is this the adoption of the map, or is
Yes.
there actual zoning areas that are changing?
This is
Just
just
the adoption of the map.
the shoreland zoning map. And just to make a point, this isn't the end all be all. This is a, hey, there are wetlands in your area. You need to get them delineated by a survey professional.
Right.
You can't just go by this map.
It's a guide.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit more. That's exactly right, Greg. But in the bottom corner of the map, and you may be able to read it a little better on your mini one, there's a pretty strong disclaimer that basically says this map is a guide. This is the best data that we have, but wetlands are very hard to map. And you can use this as a guide, but you know what is written in your ordinance is the true law and regulation of your town. So somebody can look at this map and say, oh, it looks like I have some wetlands in my parcel or near my parcel. If I want to build here, I should really get a professional opinion, that kind of thing.
So I think the next step would be ask you to bring a non-typo version to a
Yep.
public hearing and schedule a public hearing
So moved.
on August 14th at 7 p.m.
Second.
Nick, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 Do we have a mini?
So,
I can provide that map to you, and to be clear, you want me present at that meeting
all right,
too for
the
any
next
questions.
question was, are you available
Yes.
August 14th?
I am available if you want me here. Yeah.
We probably should ask that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was doing it in my head. I would have spoken up. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if DEP's reviewed it and you've used the new floodplain, I'm not going to have much input on it.
I was gonna
Change
say,
the
that's
colors,
really-
maybe. I don't know.
That's kind of
Right. That's.
there.
I mean, which now is your opportunity if you do have colors that you want
I'm
changed.
not
But
the person to ask about colors.
yeah, it's all about intuition. You know, you're a layperson. That's important. If you can read it like anybody else, then it's probably decent enough. But there's also, I mean, that's a pretty easy fix. So if there are, you know, changes at the public hearing before it goes to the final vote, I can do that.
No, sounds great. Appreciate all your hard work on this. I
Yeah,
know
of
it's,
course.
It's been a lot.
been a lot of work.
It was more than we bargained for sure. But I think it will feel really good to have a couple nice, clean, reliable maps. It's just great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I will see you in a couple weeks.
See you in a few weeks.
3 weeks?
Is it 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
3?
I might have said a couple.
I think it's 3.
You said a couple,
I think
but
we've done
these guys are now
a few.
splitting hairs.
Yeah.
3 weeks. I was questioning myself at that point. Okay. That ends the old business portion of our meeting. Any new business coming up? Any public comment? Anybody on Zoom have anything, or Teams, or whatever we're using?
There was one person in the public on Zoom,
But no hand raised.
no hand yet. Christie, if you wanna.
Hey, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
And hearing none.
Hello. Sorry, I didn't unmute fast enough.
We
Any
want-
comment this evening?
We weren't muted this time.
Do you want to say hi, Lakin? Say hi. That's my little sidekick. No comment today. I do want to say that presentation that I missed her name. She did a great job.
Reagan
Great
Young.
presenter.
She's awesome.
She left, but we'll tell her.
Oh, okay. Well, darn it. I just thought that was really great. No, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye, Reagan.
Plan for next meeting. We have now we have Evelyn's site walk, Evelyn Way's site walk at 5:30 on site. And just so we're all clear,
Ooh, we're gonna get an address.
we are gonna get.
Let's get an address. Let's find
It is
out.
off Deer Wanderer Road. If you take a left off to 117 heading north, take a left on a Pleasant Hill Road, left on a Deer Wanderer Road, and it'll be on your left. About 4 miles.
Where are you reading that?
He's making it up.
He's guessing.
Okay.
It's the
Great.
running joke.
That was accurate. That's pretty accurate though, according to the map.
I need that to be on the public notice.
You have to now make an address for every site walk. We want to have an actual address for people to be able to join us. Which is a public site walk. You're more than welcome to join us.
It is map 7, lot 27.
That's helpful.
Meet up at the school in caravan.
I'll get more specifics.
Thank you.
Do not show up at 352 Main Street, Gorham.
That is not the address. And if you do show up at 352, it'll be across the street from the actual 352.
Yeah, we
So
got.
now I know.
So Deer Wanderer, that's the closest we got. Left off Pleasant Hill Road, about 3-4 miles.
Perfect.
Best
Any other-
directions we've had yet.
Any other public comment?
We already passed public comment.
I'm just making sure, man. I like to make sure everybody's heard.
So we have Evelyn's Way site walk, and then we have Evelyn's Way public hearing, and then we'll have the SMPDC public hearing for the shoreline zoning map.
Perfect. Anything else?
With that, we'll look to adjourn the meeting and move to workshop, discuss a few things.
Motion to adjourn and move to workshop.
Second.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Approved.
Perfect.
All right, we are now in public workshop. So, one thing that's come to my attention, the cluster subdivision, as per the select board's communication with the lawyer, is to be removed per the straw poll. And with communication with them, I told them we'd have public hearings to discuss it, to inform voters. So at some point, we should also schedule that public hearing.
Sounds like an excellent idea.
So looking for,
Why don't we do it also? 2 weeks, I would love to get public opinion on,
that would be a great
I would
idea.
love to get public opinion on whether or not members of the public like, whether or not members of the public understand cluster subdivisions, whether or not they want us to continue to have something that functions like a cluster subdivision, and if yes or no, why? What is it in the cluster subdivision language that people, the current cluster subdivision ordinance that people don't like or like? So, feedback would be awesome, amazing,
I agree.
super helpful.
So, with that being said, can we get a public hearing for August 14th as well? We're not in a meeting, so we don't need to vote on things.
And that's just like a fact finder for me, that particular one.
Fact finder, we can do public comment.
We could do a straw poll for the straw poll.
An actual straw poll?
Would that be, if we have a meeting moderator, would then be?
There we go. That would make it official, right?
I'm not sure.
No, I'm
Probably
just
not.
joking.
Probably not.
I just want to hear what people have to say about it.
So, that being said, we are running out of time to make changes. 6 months isn't a lot of time to make a ton of changes from June to November, so if anybody has any more changes they'd like to have pressing to get done, now is the time to bring those up. If we're gonna dive into subdivision and get cluster out of there, I'd love to have no building permit until road base, pave or surface gravelled prior to building,
Yeah. No, it seems pretty reasonable.
That was, so the last time I brought this up, the comment was made, we're not touching subdivision, so let's leave it out.
Now we're very much
Now we're diving into subdivision.
touching subdivision.
So if we're gonna vote on subdivision regulations, let's make some,
Progressive subdivision changes.
So does that mean we're going to look at subdivision regulations as a whole?
we can,
Or just the one part that you've identified as being something that is a concern?
we can look at anything the board members or the public would like us to look at.
Comp plan, municipal, shoreline, oh, I check it out. I can make out.
I don't know if that might fit best in general standards. I'm not sure where that, or violations and enforcement, I'm not really sure where that should go.
There's 30 days of a sketch plan.
Seems like, Article 10 enforcement might be the best place for that to go.
Article 10 enforcement, especially requiring improvements.
It has sections like no public utility, water district, sanitary district, or any other utility company of any kind shall serve any lot in a subdivision for which the final plan has not been approved. So similar to that.
Would make sense.
So maybe H. Oh, that's so 10.2H. No building permits shall be issued, or other towns do one building permit will be issued. We can do no building permits can be issued.
He's in the subdivision ordinance.
So what would be the value of doing one versus just saying none? They can sell a lot and then there's money to do it.
Correct. I think Kennebunkport allows one.
I'd be comfortable with that.
There, and that's because
And now that would allow the builder to build one house lot while the road's still being constructed to pave the road or put gravel, gravel.
how do, obviously they build houses without having roads finished, but say he picks the very end. Or she, excuse me.
You would have to have the road paved until you got your,
Well, if you give them one and they pave the very end, or they pick the house at the very end,
Well, you have to
It
build,
doesn't
you have to
matter,
build
yes.
the road, but you couldn't do any more until the road was paved or gravelled.
Is that a common thing? Like, I know it's kind of out of my wheelhouse for people to
To,
put house lots in and start building houses and grant building permits without having a
Without it,
finished
it's-
road?
Yeah, without
Oh,
it
yeah.
being complete, absolutely.
yes.
That's part of the,
I feel like it's putting the
Challenges we
cart
have.
before the horse. Obviously, I
do it
don't
all the time.
know what I'm talking about, but I just feel like that's. But is it constructive? Is it going to make things better for people?
We make it better for the town, because the road's gonna be finished.
That's a better guarantee that our road will be finished up to standards, and it better covers the town. I see Seth nodding in agreement. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't
When
know
you're
what the
doing
negative would be.
When you're doing construction, does the equipment ruin that road? And
Base
That's why
pavement,
you wanna go to base pavement.
base
Right.
pavement only, and then you have surface pavement on top of that. Very common to work off base pavement.
And that would qualify.
Yeah, my statement, it says base pavement, or if it's a gravel road, sub-base gravels. So then you would have your base gravels, your finished gravels.
Right. And it better covers the town, so we don't get stuck with roads that aren't finished. And it reduces the liability on the town by adding that one thing in.
Yep,
I
so
think
say a
that's a smart
subdivision
move.
comes in, they throw 10 houses in, then they never pave the road, and
I think that's something that
has happened.
I can't speak to anything specific, but I feel
Or
like
the
that's a
road-
complete that I've heard.
Or the road didn't meet standards
Mm-hmm.
is a bigger issue.
Mhm.
So they went in, put the houses in, road didn't meet standards.
They're done, everything, they're walking away anyway.
Yeah.
They've got their money, so they're gone. So it better protects the town, and it solves the possibility of that issue coming up, and also corrects issues in the past or addresses issues, which is kind of what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I think you're on the right path. I agree.
So I guess that just leaves, we want to do one or none?
Say that again?
If we want to
One house,
allow,
one building permit or no building permits. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
so,
As long as it closes up the issue where, and the town's better covered and people down the road won't get stuck buying a house in a subdivision and not having a road that's up to standards, then we've better protected the people, which is kind of why we're here, I feel.
so, let's change the only one building permit will be issued prior to road base paving or surface gravels. Or, I guess, open to wording, but
I don't know enough about it to
I
provide.
was gonna say,
any
it's out of my
input.
wheelhouse again, so
Yep.
that's right up your alley.
yeah, so only one
Building permit.
only one building permit shall be issued prior to road base pavement or surface gravels, if non-paved road, remaining issued upon, I don't like any of that, actually.
Legal will clean it up, right?
Perfect.
Legal Angela.
Angela's my favorite. You're the best.
That's why we have a great secretary. You don't like how I write things anyway, so. Either they're too long or too intricate.
Well, you just diving into another ordinance before we finish this one, but it's okay.
Well,
Well, we were forced into it, so.
Yeah,
So with that being said,
I haven't even given it a second
six
thought.
point 3.5,
Hold on. Is that in our ordinance or
yeah,
subdivision?
we were waiting for the comp plan.
Yes.
Now, it's looking like the comp plan's not gonna go until June?
at the earliest.
6.3.
In subdivision or in?
Oh,
No,
shit.
in
Regular.
zoning, for occupied.
yeah.
Oh.
See, now you're
just owed. Now we'll dive deep if you want.
Well, no, you see, you guys were holding out, we
Yeah.
were looking at comp plan in June, you guys were holding out, now it's looking like this is gonna hit November, comp plan will hit potentially June.
Hopefully,
Why is Complant not in November? Do
because
they have a
we-
draft?
Yeah,
What?
it's not up to us.
There's still legwork that needs to be done with it.
Oh,
A committee needs to be formed, so that's not gonna hit for November.
My thought is still wait for the comp plan to be finished.
I just needed,
That's my, I mean, open to,
what is it for the owner-occupied ADU thing?
Mm-hmm.
For telling people that they can't they can't do what they want with the property they pay for? That's the one we're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the planning board was still at a kind of a stalemate on which direction to go. The comp plan isn't going away. It's just not completed yet. It just might push this till it'd be November. It'd be
November of next
it'd be
year?
15
2025.
months, 15 months, 16 months. Or we can readdress in June.
As it stands right now, no ownership is required, correct?
No.
No on-site.
Yes, it is
I'm fine
required.
with leaving it exactly how it is right now.
It is
It
required.
is not required.
it is required.
Right.
Owner occupied, go to 6.3.5.
Oh,
This is the problem. The board has been split at every decision. It's gone.
See, this is why like a great interaction with the general public.
So can we add this
Would be
to
great.
public
Hearing
hearing
on August
on August 14th?
That's our best chance of getting the most people.
Have
Because there's 3 other public hearings. If we add that in to get some public comment, there'll be more likely some people that will hang out. We can throw that first.
Yeah, it doesn't
Really
matter the
flip them
order.
around.
No, if you put that first ahead of items
people
1
let
and
it go.
2, we'll never get to items 1 and 2.
I just want some public comment.
Yeah.
I just want I want the public to be able to weigh in about whether they think that you should be required to live in a house if you're renting the other ADU. If you're renting
You
your
should be.
ADU.
you can't see that.
If you feel that you should be required to live in your house if you have an ADU. That's what we're wondering. How you feel about it. We will take written comment, public comment, any comment to anybody that's listening. Thank you. Carry on.
So I don't think that we're gonna have time to do a appropriate job on definitions and use table, and I think that, comp plan will impact both of those things.
So if I remember correctly, September is the deadline. So with the stuff we have public hearings on,
Did we deal with performance standards? It's item 8 on your list.
Section 6.
I have section 6 as a whole to go through, so I don't think so.
No, we haven't touched section 6.
Oh, I didn't go punch my ordinance yet.
Yeah.
That's why I can't search it.
Is
No, section 6.
you had just had it as a whole.
Yeah, the whole thing needs to be,
Bigger.
that definitions and use table is 6 months to a year. Probably, at least 6 months.
I would be comfortable taking all 3 of those things and putting them on to the next.
That's fair. Because we just, think of how much we did the last time, that took a year to get there.
And there's a lot in 6. Jesus, home occupations are in here. Yeah, there's a lot. For sure.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to try to get
There
section
was-
6?
We kind of do this every time. We go, what's the most important thing that really needs to be addressed? What's the biggest?
Has anybody found anything that's negligent on the town's behalf that we need to change?
Except no building permit until,
Yeah. There's a road.
other than that, I didn't see anything.
Just going back to my notes. Section 7, amendment of plans. I don't know why I had that in there.
6. What's number 10? TIF zone. Is that
That's
a big one?
yes, that's a huge one.
All right. Well,
That's gonna need,
we have to pick
and
something.
I was told by the select board that they are too busy to work on that.
Oh, awesome.
What do they need to do?
It's.
Because it's
they'd be-
money, right?
Yeah, they'd be highly involved.
So that, I think,
Their,
then
their
comes
main,
off.
their main focus is to work on getting the town hall built.
Right.
And hiring a town manager.
Well, actually, there's a committee being started to, that you could join as a.
Fantastic.
Applied.
Let's toss that out to the general public.
Has that been added to the website yet?
Yep.
So on the town's website, there is a section to apply for the town manager hiring committee. I think there's 2 spots at least for public at large, if not more. So
And for transparency, who approves the members on the committee?
the select board.
It's the select board. Okay.
We had a little bit of a discussion around photos and videos being allowed or required. Do we want to address that?
Was that for the?
I just added it to my list. I'm not sure what it was for.
So this was brought up by Christie. The only way I see this working is if we require the applicant to provide them.
Right.
And
And then
you've got no,
storage method.
no, it's not so much as that, is I can propose a subdivision at such and such a map and lot, but go to totally different road and take a picture.
Accountability.
Yeah, you've got
Ah, it's the
no,
2024 word is accountability. Transparency is also another great one.
Been saying that since 2020.
You're my favorite.
So I say we leave that. I mean, I'm comfortable leaving that alone for right now too.
I understand why there's a need for it, but I don't know that it's a practical thing that we can either A, enforce or administer. I don't know if that's the word I want. I just don't know how it would.
Unless the code enforcement does it.
Right, I know they have their hands full with tons of stuff they're already doing, so I hate piling more stuff on code enforcement.
Dwayne should be on the Zoom meeting.
Dwayne, what do you think, Mr. Hanson? Is he not there? Oh, Dwayne's not there. Oh,
I thought, isn't Dwayne supposed to be at
that
board
would be
meetings?
that'd be just fantastic to have a knowledgeable and code enforcement officer here to help us out. So
Apologies, I can't read the names from here, so.
Bennett says no.
Yeah. Thank you, Bennett.
Is 6.11 to 6.12 a mistake
On your
on the zoning ordinance?
A mistake.
6
It
point.
goes from home occupations
Oh yeah, look
to
at
home
you.
occupation.
Woo.
There's no mistakes.
Well done. 6.11 home occupations. Oh, man, that's a good eye.
So a renumbering issue.
We can make clerical,
Yeah.
we can make clerical remarks at any time.
So renumber. That's my remark.
What's
I
the problem?
mean-
We have 6,
It goes right through, huh?
what's the problem?
It's
Oh, it's all-
6.11 and then it goes to 6. It's
So
should be
that
6. Home occupations should be 6.11
yeah.
all the way through, and then that will impact all the rest.
That means everything after that
Yep.
is an issue.
Yep.
Because then 613 should be 612.
We can always skip
Angela goes,
6.12.
Goes all the way
yeah.
to 6:35.
We could always just skip 6.12 and go to 6.13.
Maybe we just get
after.
rid of 6.11.
Yeah.
Maybe we add something to 6:11.
We could just say 611 redacted.
Ooh,
Ooh, do it.
classic.
That would say.
Actually, it's a very easy fix.
Oh,
Oh,
all right.
okay,
I
well.
just happened to miss.
Carry on then.
So, well,
It also could be.
Must have hit enter or
open
something.
this version, open that version, oh, let's try this version.
Oh, is
again.
Yep.
is 618 the same thing, or am I just missing?
618?
Yeah, 618,
Probably.
619.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable just saying, if you could just
Yeah.
look at it. look at the entire thing. And if you catch anything, fix it.
Awesome.
So then I think the other things
Yeah,
that we have
I've
is,
looked at this so many times that you guys may catch what I've missed. Yeah, 18,
That's-
19, 20, yeah.
that's why we have more than one set of eyes on things. That's exactly why. It's not a negative at all. Updating current applications or checklists. That's the other thing that is on
Yeah,
here.
those are in process.
Oh, so we're still working
Yeah.
on those. Okay.
The only other thing I have written down in my notes is growth restrictions.
What about them? We don't have any.
It's been brought to my attention by many residents that they think we should.
It's not on the list, right?
We
a
voted those,
handwritten note.
they got voted out.
How many is many?
That got voted down, or it got removed. We had a really strong growth ordinance and it got removed.
And we had cluster subdivision in there. I mean, there's many things that are being removed and
Yep.
installed.
Yep.
So when you had a growth ordinance, how many houses a year were you limited to?
Dwayne.
15.
Oh, I was about to say Dwayne.
50.
50.
5-0 per year.
And they said we did how many?
100 in the past, 150 in the past 3
Years or months?
years. 150 new homes.
So we
Which
did
is
50 anyway.
50, yeah.
So we don't need a growth. Okay. Okay.
It's in my notes.
I appreciate you bringing it to the attention so that we can all discuss it.
I'll cross it off my notes.
Christy Duncan has raised her hand.
Oh, Christy.
Christy.
Hello. So I have a question about the growth ordinance. Have you guys considered like maybe getting a police department or something for Hollis to account for the growth? Because I've lived in places like Colorado Springs, which is like a prime example of a city that grew really, really quickly and they weren't ready, and it's just very congested. So I just think that if you guys
Police isn't
don't put
ours.
some kind of growth ordinance in place, you guys will continue to grow really fast. And I think that the town is not ready to take on a bunch of new residents. And I think that they're in current situations because they grew too fast and they weren't ready for it.
Let's put growth ordinance on the public hearing. If you have an opinion about a growth ordinance in Hollis and want to share it with us, we would love to hear it.
Public hearing.
Christy, just so you're aware, there is a comprehensive plan committee being started by the select board that will look at long-term plans like future growth and such.
Is there an application available online, Mr. McPherson?
Yes, there is.
Fantastic. But no, Heather, I think you hit it on the head. We don't do the police thing.
Yeah, no, the police, that would be something that would come through the select board, not planning board.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. If we could restrict growth in order to, because we don't have a police, that might be a good reason to restrict growth in Hollis. But as we just learned in the last 3 years, we've built 50 new houses per year, and that's what the growth ordinance was. So I guess you would have to come to us with a much stronger argument before I'd be jumping on board of proposing.
Well, you could reduce the number too.
Sure.
We can look at Wyndham. I think Wyndham and Arundel, I believe, all have growth ordinances or
Wells, is that?
wells. I believe they all have. I don't know if they can necessarily call it a growth ordinance or restriction. It's a limit of building permits per year.
Call it a more.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just spewing at the mouth information that I heard one time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would like people to speak up if they think that's something that's important that we should spend our time on. Yes, ma'am.
Christy again?
Awesome.
Christy.
Oh, yes. So as far as the number 2, I'd also like to take into consideration code enforcement, for example. I think that is a prime example of I can't give you a number of houses, but I can say if your code enforcement cannot keep track of everything that's going on to make sure everything is being done in accordance to the code, then that is your number. That is too much. If we cannot handle X amount of residents, then it's either we need to hire more code enforcement or we need to restrict the growth, because it's not so much a number or how many people are here, it's how many things are being overlooked because of the number of people and how much code needs to be enforced.
Do restrictions and growth ordinances are they at all impacted by LD 2003?
Do not have that information.
We all looked at Angela. Would, if say there was we went back to the old growth ordinance we have, it was capped at 50. Does that 50 include ADUs and houses? Or does it just include houses?
Building permits.
So ADUs
So it's
would
putting
be-
on a deck.
Oh, it wasn't, that's right, it wasn't a house.
This
it
was
a
when people used to
building
line
permit.
up for days
I
in front of
remember.
town hall in order to get a building permit. Am I incorrect when I say that also includes building permits for things like an addition? Or is this only new residence
I can only
construction?
speak to Waterboro is, it was new residences.
Yeah,
Bennett, do you remember if
new
ours was?
ADUs?
New residents.
It was new
Okay.
residents.
All right, so it's not about expansions.
Right.
And then new residents, that could be an ADU, that would be an ADU. That is a new residence.
Yep.
So it would impact ADU.
Unless it was written to specifically exclude an ADU, which I assume would be required by LD 2003. So it gets into the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you couldn't navigate it, but
Right. It's just all things that would have to be taken into consideration.
Right. Absolutely.
Comprehensive plan say anything about it? The draft?
Just no. I know it talks about housing, right? And the need for housing.
it talks about the need for housing.
The need for affordable housing.
Yep.
I'll have to read through it again.
Yeah.
Because I only read through it twice. I didn't read through it that third time. I always miss stuff the second time. The third time is when I get it. What else do we have?
So can we
I'm
add
sorry,
that
yeah.
to
I
the
didn't,
public hearing?
let's finish that now. Finish that.
If
Add it to
you-
the public hearing.
If you guys would like to discuss growth restrictions, it's.
Yeah, if you want to talk about it, we're absolutely going to talk
I would
about
like
I am
the
just
public
bringing
to
up-
provide.
I'm just bringing up topics that have been brought to me.
it. Perfect.
I would like the public to show us that they think that this is something we should spend our time talking about.
Or think that we shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Please, members of the public. Public hearing it is.
So, and it looks like we just made an agenda for
The 14th.
December through
Mm-hmm.
December through. Are we gonna try to have it done by June? That seems really short. December through November of next year.
We could start on it now, knowing that we're not gonna push anything onto the ballot until June. So what we have now, up till today,
Yeah.
goes forward onto the November ballot. We can start having the further discussions
Fair.
knowing that nothing, we're not gonna push anything
Yep.
onto a ballot until the following June.
And the only three things we're gonna work on are definitions,
Yep,
use table,
yep.
and performance standards. I think they're all kind of they go hand in hand.
What about TIF? Oh, I guess that will depend on, I
Well,
guess that might not come up until we have a 5-member select board. Because then there'll be more people, more resources, time to spend on something like that.
Correct.
That would better benefit the people of Hollis.
There we go. I love that. So those are gonna be the 3 priority items. Subdivision as a whole.
Are we?
Do we wanna try to get that in now for June?
Does anybody have anything?
I can't without, I mean, we
Well-
haven't really looked at it.
So, let's have some homework. Run through subdivision. It's a pretty short section
Oh yeah.
in the next 3 weeks.
And it has definitions in it.
100-something pages.
Time for a workshop on this board.
No,
Tell you.
it's 105 pages.
And it has definitions.
It's bigger than the zoning ordinance.
Come on, guys.
It's literally larger than the
motivation.
zoning ordinance.
But it's basically the
Just
same.
on living life again, knock it off.
Well, sorry.
It's really not.
Back
It's-
to the
I'm-
books.
I'm really giving you
What?
one. There's a lot of
Just
appendix.
real quick.
It's got the same thing multiple times for
Yes,
minor.
Yes.
Are we
Major.
using EDZ and EOZ interchangeably, or have we switched from one to the other?
EOZ is back in the ordinance. It was a clerical error.
And then economic development overlay zone. Is
That is
that different
EOZ.
than EOZ?
Economic.
Development overlay zone.
I think it's the same thing.
I'm just saying they're calling it EDZ in our
That's one of the-
subdivision.
yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you highlight that?
Yep.
Got it.
And I apologize. The subdivision ordinance or regulations, should be called ordinance, are only 56 pages. The rest of it is appendix.
See,
So,
that's what I'm talking about, guys.
Yep.
A little positivity here.
Yep.
If you guys read, like 10 pages every day,
This is literally 7th grade all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. McPherson, I didn't read my pages.
I was the number one offender, so.
Yeah. So realistically, we can't do it next meeting.
No.
So we've got a month,
We have 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's 10 pages a week.
5 weeks. All
I'm
right,
gonna have my kids.
Well, some
read
pages
it
are
and
easier
then-
than others.
that's right.
And if you get the chance to go through the appendix, that's great too, because that is a part of it, even though I think
Yeah.
some of it we're already addressing in other areas.
So, Angel, do you have our cutoff dates by any chance? I thought it was like early September.
I wanna say it was the 9th or something.
Yeah. I think
Yes.
so.
So that means,
No way, that's we're gonna
depends. You guys might not find a lot of changes.
You're right.
I have hope we're not going to find a lot of changes, and we're going to knock it off the list and be done with it.
Okay.
But just as long as everybody actually does some homework, I know it's not fun.
Subdivision.
We could break it up. Everybody takes 10 pages.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna read
That-
10 pages and not read all of it.
Okay. Heather, everybody chose that idea.
Feel free to do it. I'm just saying, I'm not gonna read 10 pages and not read all of it. If that's,
Might as well. You're in there, right?
yeah, you can't read a reg without,
Context.
yeah.
All right.
Fair enough. Try to team project this thing.
So is the rest of this
Nice idea.
stuff on the list then? We're just pushing to the June ballot and not November? Or are you trying to get subdivision for November?
Subdivision for November.
Okay.
The definitions, performance standards, and use table for hopefully June.
June.
That's a big ask, though.
I feel like that's realistic. Why is that?
Definitions is extensive with a lot
It
of
is.
discussion.
All right.
So it's used,
All right. No, you're right.
June is a big hope, but we'll see.
so we get 2 out of 3, then we push the next one to the next. This is,
Yeah. no,
Goals.
that's good.
We have goals
Yep,
at least.
yep, I love it. Long-term goals.
Long term. We actually did a long term planning session for the first time in 4 years.
I love it. I love it.
So we've got a bunch of public hearings.
No, we have one public hearing scheduled with questions.
Well, actually,
Five.
we have 5 public
You're up
hearings.
to 5.
One public hearing with a lot of topics.
All right.
Feel free to share your thoughts by email as well.
At planning board secretary at I don't know the whatever it's on our website. It's on the town's website.
And that covers everything on our list
I
to
love it.
date.
Have one anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
course.
Ma'am.
No. I'm just in listening to this because I've been kind of like out of the loop for the subdivision regs. I thought it was my understanding that the planning board had carte blanche for the subdivision regs and didn't have to have it as an ordinance, and they could change it at any time.
Oh, I don't know about
Is that not true?
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, sounds great.
I thought that the
just-
regulations weren't an ordinance.
Oh, because
They're just
What does the cover say?
Regulations.
regulations.
so.
Just- I
It's
mean,
my
that-
understanding you could change it at any time. That may or may not be true.
I love it.
Can we?
Yeah, let's get a legal opinion on that.
But I would look into that. It'd be a lot easier for you guys to make changes that way.
Subdivision regulations.
than to
Do
bring
we
it to
want
a
to
town meeting.
reprioritize then to try to finish something else
2009?
before November, if that's the case?
We're trying to finish subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but if it's a
Oh, if we
regulation,
don't need it
if it
for,
doesn't,
yeah.
if it doesn't, if
Let's
we
get
wanna
a,
pick something
yeah,
else
let's get an
after.
answer. I like where we're at.
Well done, Bennett. You're
The
my
other three
favorite.
pieces just feel so big that I think even just picking one of, it doesn't make any sense to me to redo definitions and not talk about use table.
They're all
And
s-
vice versa.
Yeah,
And same thing with
use
performance
table.
standards, because if there's uses that get added, they might
Performance
need
sta-
performance standards.
Performance standards can
But if there's something gets
stand,
added,
by- they can stand, but your use table and your definitions go hand in hand.
I guess when I think about performance standards, there's things like home occupations in there, which is a defined term, which is also in the use, you know what I mean? Like I just,
Right, but your performance standards will apply to everything, but some standards would just be not applicable. So you
Got it.
use all the same standards, some would apply, some wouldn't.
Does that give priority then? So that if we no, because then we're just piecemealing the definitions and.
I think all three are
Yeah, no, I understand.
they're a lump sum.
I agree. I just think it's easier.
Because you're gonna go do a section of 6.3. Okay, what are the definitions that apply to this section? What's the use table for the section?
Right.
You're gonna
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're
you're
gonna
gonna
look
go
to the use.
6.1
Yep.
definitions use, 6.2 definitions use. It's
Okay.
gonna be a unilateral front.
Perfect. So we have a plan in place.
So
Good plan.
It's
sounds
a
like
solid plan. We've done a fantastic job.
with that, we have a lot of public hearings lined up. We have some homework.
And an hour to work to read my 10 pages right now.
Would you guys want to stay here and read the 10?
No, I don't want to stay here and read.
Is that real? This guy out of here.
God, what part of homework? He's gonna get to do it at home.
You know, if you can't teach all your class in your school time, you shouldn't need to sign homework to get it done.
Ooh. All right. Is that it?
Yeah.
We don't need to make a motion to adjourn because we're in a workshop. Does anybody have any other comments before we stop? Hearing none.
My God,
Like that?
this bossy kid.
See you guys in 3 weeks.
See you in 3 weeks. Thank you.
Don't forget to neuter and spay your animals.
Don't forget to spay.